a podcast that looks closely at how technology reshapes our relationships. Imagine this: the very tools we use to connect and find love are constantly monitoring us. In today's show, I'm your host, Sia Shabangu, and I want to investigate the surveillance versus care paradox, focusing on the highly contested space of online dating. This is especially crucial in the South African context, where mobile connectivity is rapidly redefining interpersonal boundaries. Today, we are dissecting the ambiguity that exists between how we watch ourselves, or self-surveillance, and how potential partners watch us, lateral surveillance. To understand this complex stance, we'll draw on two powerful theoretical frameworks. The first one is impression formation theory. The second, relational dialects theory. So, let's get started. First, I want to conceptualize the paradox for you to kind of help you understand this dilemma. The fundamental tension in self-surveillance versus care paradox, as Voss and Bruno observed, is that surveillance techniques are often linked to the practice of self-care. What this means is that we consent to being watched or even facilitated when we believe it helps us care for the self or achieve relational goals. In today's digital era, mobile phones complicate this even further. Duck and McCain highlight that the sheer portability of instant messaging apps like WhatsApp creates an almost uninterrupted stream of access. Lux points out that mobile phones can become an instrument for constant, potential, and actual violation of individual privacy. As Ngongo notes, romantic relationships are already full of contradictions, forcing partners to constantly negotiate privacy versus sociability. The dating profile is where this intense negotiation tightens even further. Imagine this: when you build a profile, you are engaging in digital impression management, rooted in impression formation research. The goal is simple: shape how others perceive you. A scholar explained this best as Walters in his work, Social Information Processing Theory, where he suggests that every photo, every line of text acts as a critical cue that a potential partner uses to form a judgment. This strategic selection process is intensive self-surveillance. You're scrutinizing your own presentation, selecting cues that project desirability and exclusiveness. This is proactive self-surveillance for the purposes of relational care, the care of securing a relationship. Here you are striving for normal presentation, battling against anything that might be perceived as undesirable. As Voss and Bruno remind us, this intense self-monitoring, driven by efficiency and control, becomes a vital practice of self-care. But one might ask, what's so wrong about this? It's my life after all, and I can do what I want. Let me flip the coin to kind of help you understand. Your meticulous self-presentation is immediately exposed to what we've termed as lateral surveillance, the monitoring of one another. This conflict is best captured by relational dialects championed by Baxter and Montgomery, specifically the dialect of expression versus privacy. The profile is mandated expression. You must disclose to initiate a relationship, but the disclosure is instantly subjected to the monitoring gaze. You are trying to set your personal boundaries, but Pedro notes that once information is shared, those boundaries immediately transform into collective boundaries that others can scrutinize. Lateral surveillance isn't just viewing of the profile. Toho describes social networking sites as social surveillance sites in romantic relationships, where partners monitor online statuses and responsiveness. Ngongo's research in romantic relationships shows this monitoring can lead to symmetrical surveillance and conflict. The profile, therefore, is not just an introduction, it's evidence in an ongoing surveillance repertoire. The act of self-care in profile creation inevitably invites privacy violations. Stay with me. Let's bring this home for a moment. When you look at this from a South African context, it adds a crucial sociological layer. A study developed in South Africa by Ngongo confirms that young adults actively negotiate mobile usage rules to manage privacy and surveillance. Ngongo and Fixie suggest that virtual communities lean towards communitarian behavior. This means that in digital dating, individuals may symmetrically sacrifice personal privacy for the greater good of the relationship, or to foster trust and relational well-being. In his research, he demonstrates that trust is the powerful motivator here. If a partner refuses to grant access or protect their privacy excessively, it can be interpreted as a threat to the relationship's health. The negotiated rules for monitoring may be explicitly done to foster trust and minimize conflict. In this context, the ambiguity of dating profile is resolved in favor of disclosure. because connection and trust are paramount. So, you see where I'm going with this? This leaves us at a very dangerous intersection. If not managed correctly, it could ruin the self and the contested relationship. So, how do we promote healthy interactions in this paradoxical digital space? I conclude with 3 key recommendations. First, establish mutually negotiated disclosure rules. Partners should proactively discuss boundaries about profile maintenance and online status monitoring to minimize conflict. Second, foster trust over monitoring. We must prioritize intrinsic trust because forced access or checking messages without consent undermines genuine trust and often causing conflict. Monitoring is a poor substitute for faith. Third, promote critical digital literacy regarding self-constitution. Individuals need to resist defining themselves solely by the digital metrics of desirability. While the profile is strategic, adapting a critical stance means acknowledging that the online representation is just one dimension of a far more complex identity. And into the future, I believe we need to strive to use digital media as a tool for connection and not as an instrument of scrutiny. Thank you for joining the Digital Mirror Show. I'm your talk show host, Sia Shabangu, and please like and follow, and I hope to see you in the next one. As the new gen would say, stay woke.